Hey YouTube, I wanted to do a quick video of a C5 Corvette project. Wish I'd started it earlier, part way into this thing, and I had looked all over YouTube to see if I could find a video specific to putting the Trackspec Motorsport hood louvers on a C5 Corvette. I couldn't find one, so I'm like, we'll do our own. This is what we got so far. These are the Trackspec T1 hood louvers. The reason why we're putting these on is out here in sunny Arizona. On the track, especially in the summer, you can get a lot of heat under the hood on this thing. It has yet to get a racing radiator, so these hood vents are going to serve two purposes. We should be able to get some heat out from under the hood, and we should be able to get some of the high pressure that builds up under this hood. The C5 is a bottom feeder where it gets all its air for the radiator under it, comes into the hood, and it builds up a high pressure area that can create some lift under the hood here. So this should serve two purposes: dissipate heat and help it get a little more downforce by getting rid of that high pressure area under the hood. This is what we got so far. Comes with a set of templates, one for each, and we just got to do our due diligence to try to get these things level and symmetrical, which I found is no easy task. So I spent the better part of an entire day trying to line up these templates, measuring from every point I could, obsessing over, do I have them straight? And I think I got it, unless I want to obsess over it for 3 more days. I thought about it when I originally got it, taking it to a body shop, because I'd never installed these before, and it's unnerving when you're cutting into the hood of your car. But the great thing about the C5 is, it's a go car, not a show car, and half the fun of the C5 Corvette is doing it yourself. It's a great modern day hot rod. Bang for the buck, you can't beat it. Yet it's not something that you feel bad about working on yourself. If you screw something up, fix it or pay someone to fix it. But give it a go yourself first. So we got him lined up about as good as we can here. And our next step is we're going to drill some pilot holes on the corner here. So when we start our cuts, we'll be able to connect the 4 dots here, which is going to make it a lot easier with our angle grinder here. So next step, drilling holes, and then we'll be cutting into it. All right, so here we are. The holes are drilled on all 4 corners. This is going to make it a little easier for our cutout wheel. Recommends using a 3/8 inch drill bit. I started with a little smaller one, get a pilot hole in there, goes through nice and easy. Should be ready to do some cutting. I'm going to use just a standard basic angle grinder with a cutoff wheel and see what we can do. Decided to move it outside, and it's a dusty mess with the fiberglass going everywhere. I chose to leave the hood on. You can take it off. I just thought it would be easy enough. Using the hinges as kind of support might make it easier with it on. I'll find out. Might have been a bad call, but we'll give it a go. All right, there we go. Cut number 1 done. Wasn't super easy getting through the ribs in the back, using a 4.5 inch cutoff wheel, and it wasn't quite getting through. So I may take the guard off the angle grinder and see if I can get through that way. We'll see you on the next cut. All right, so day 2 of this project. We've got our cuts done on the Corvette. Everything went relatively well. A few things I wish I'd have done differently. I should have taken the hood off. I thought it would be just as easy to do the cuts with the hood on the car, and for the most part it is. The problem is on some sections you have that support section in the hood that I just couldn't get through with the 4.5-inch cutoff wheel, where I then had to come from the back and try to complete the cut, where it just would have been a lot easier if I had taken the hood off right from the get-go. The other thing I had learned, I had wasted a ton of time, a better part of a day, lining up those templates so everything was symmetrical and even. At the end of the day, don't get wrapped around the axles on that, because you're going to wind up with a hole, and these things are going to float around in it quite a bit. So now I'm going to have to obsess all over again trying to line this up. Save time on knocking yourself out on lining those templates up. The other mistake was, after I did my cuts, I took off my blue painter's tape where I had aligned everything. Now I'm going to have to set that back up just so I can get these vents lined up and straight before I start drilling my holes. All right, day 3 of this project, and we're back at it. So yesterday we got the vents in and got it drilled and got some of the pop rivets in. The problem we had, as you can see, some of the mandrels on the rivets didn't pop off as they were designed. What happened is they started shearing off towards the top of it. Now the rivet gun won't grip it and can't pop it off properly. I don't know if it was a product of bad rivets that came with the kit or a crap rivet gun, one or the other. So not sure what I'm going to do. I may buy another rivet gun, see if there's one that can grip it further down, and ultimately pop the mandrels off as they were designed to shear off at a certain point. Or the other option is I may have to Dremel it off. Unknown at this point. All right, we are at it again. We have a new rivet gun straight from the Home Depot. We'll see if the quality of that versus the Ace Hardware rivet gun makes any difference on these rivets. One was $28, the other was $9.99, and we will see if we can get these rivets off at this point. Nope, still won't grip. It's on to the Dremel tool. Okay, after 1 week of trying to find a rivet expert who had advice on how to get out rivets with broken rivet mandrels, checked at Home Depot, checked at Lowe's, checked at Ace Hardware. There are no rivet experts there. Checked the YouTube, couldn't find any. So the solution I came up with is on the broken mandrels was to cut them off with a nipper and then just use a Dremel to sand it as smooth as you could. Feels good. Looks about as good as it's going to get. But that was the only solution I could find on broken rivet mandrels. No one really seemed to have a great solution on it. I guess apparently it is common with cheap rivets that can happen. Didn't matter on the rivet gun, whatever I used, it wasn't gonna finish it. But I guess it's not super uncommon. But no one's got a real great solution on it. So mine was to nip it off and sand it down. The other thing I wanted to bring up on before I started with the rivets, as I set it in here, it's tempting just as it sits to start drilling all your holes in the hood for the rivets. I was glad I didn't. You'd have been fine on this center one, but on the sides where there's a lot more contour to the car, you need to drill your bottom one, then your top one, do your rivets there, and then start drilling your side. Because if you were just to drill it by trying to set it in there, and then once you start riveting it in, you're going to have some shift in it and it may not line up. So do your bottom and your top, rivet it in, then do your drill holes. Outside of that, once all these are sanded smooth, she's ready to go. Hoping to get about a 10-degree drop from my highest water temperatures. Not sure what I'm going to expect out of oil temperatures on it, but should put it on the track next weekend, and I'll let everyone know. So here it is, finished product, back from one track day and one autocross. Have to say, all in all, really happy with the product. I would say noticed about a 10-degree water temperature difference. It's a little hard to judge. It's the middle of winter here, so it's hard to compare it to runs you did in the middle of summer. But I'd say it's probably a good 10 degrees. Really notice it on the cool down laps. Car definitely cooled down quicker. And when I was autocrossing it, I like to get the oil temp up to about 180 before I run it, and it took a little longer, to get it up to temp. So they're definitely doing their job there. The other way, I could tell it was really doing its job. In this car, anything over about 130, you really start to get some visible hood lift back here. None of that anymore. So that's a really nice benefit of these. If your motor has any kind of oddball leaks to it, which mine does, you're gonna get a little bit of fluid on your windshield. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. But I would definitely recommend it. It's a pretty easy, straightforward install. They look good, super functional. If you have any questions about the install on it, need any help, hit me up in the comments, and I'll do whatever I can do to help you out.